In dedication to the gold and blue dude, Chris Petry, who tragically passed away, the Mountaineer Man, the great YouTube channel, put his heart and passion into what he did, survived by his fiance, his children, his son, his children, his brothers, his parents, and Mountaineer Nation. This is a dedication to you, Chris Petry, the blue and gold dude, gold and blue dude. We know you're watching from above. Let's get this. Let's get this. He was born in the summer of his 27th year, coming home to a place he's never been before. He left yesterday behind him. You might say he was born again. You might say he found a key for every door. When he first came to the mountains, his life was far away on the road, hanging by a song. But the string's already broken, and he doesn't really care. It keeps changing fast, and it don't last for long. But the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. The shadow from the starlight is softer than a lullaby. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, high in Colorado. He climbed Cathedral Mountains, he saw silver clouds below. He saw everything as far as you can see. And they say he got a crazy once and he tried to touch the sun. And he lost a friend but kept the memory. Now he walks in quiet solitude, the forest and the streams, seeking grace in every step he takes. His sight has turned inside himself to try to understand the serenity of a clear blue mountain lake. And the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. I talk to God and listen to the casual reply. Rocky Mountain High, high in Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, high in Colorado. Now his life is full of wonder, but his heart still knows some fear of a simple thing he cannot comprehend. Why they try to tear the mountains down to bring in a couple more people, more scars upon the land. And the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire from the sky. I know he'd been a poorer man if he never saw an eagle fly. Rocky Mountain High, the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. Friends around the campfire and everybody's high. Rocky Mountain High, high in Colorado. 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 Rocky Mountain High. There it is. There it is. Okay, that was for you, Chris Petry. Golden Blue Dude. Thank you so much. I hope he enjoyed that. I hope his family will enjoy it if he sees it. Thank you so much. Colorado Mountain High, welcome to college football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you need just a little bit of extra college football content to get you through the days, to get you through the nights, subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Not so much the singing, but if you like the content, smash the like button. Share the video with your family and friends. Share it with your psychiatrist, your priest, your significant other. Share this video across your social media platforms. Come into the studio. Come in the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Come on in. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend in the comments section or with your phone calls later on this show. Now, I don't have, once again, much of a monologue. There's a lot of things going on. We are going to reset stage Act 13. We're only a few days into Act 13, but we've got to change it around a little bit. I want to thank everybody for coming on into this afternoon. Same James, Ryan Brook, Mr. Monkey Says is first. Laura Weiss, Texas Red Raider, KS Bearfin, K Dude, David Hackett's here. Marcus Wood is here. John Bennett is here. Daniel Montecastle, Mr. Hoosier is here. Cameron B. Rockchalk is here. Andrew Bennett, holy smokes, he is also here. Aztec Country, Go Aztec is here. Tu Masta, holy smokes, I won't say the other part. Tu Masta's in the house. Nathan Jones, Robert Graves. He was born in the summer of his 27th year. Looks like people knew what was going to happen. Buckshot Kid, thank you so much for dropping in. Oakley, Burklau, Baylor, Patrick, Big 12, thank you for dropping on in. A lot of people here, thank you. Jeff Brewster, Big 12 Mafia, the Holy Rivals Show. Love the haircut, Greg. It's not a haircut. I've been very busy today. It's not a haircut. I look as bad today as I did yesterday, the previous day. Caden's dad, best Flugar rendition ever. Thanks. Appreciate it. T-Duck is back in the house. The pack kinda lives. It kinda lives. Nick Flynn, sorry I'm late. You're not late. You're right on time. My brother. Curtis Brown, HBR, son of a Sarah, back in the house. YouTube copyright strike warning incoming. Possibly. This is the second time I've sang this song. The first time I sang it, John Denver, Colorado Mountain High, and we did not get a copy strike. We did not get a warning. We didn't get anything. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Sometimes, let me show you something here. I always show this. Boy, I hope I can find it. Where is it? And there it is. A ship in the harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. John A. Shedd, 1928. Look, whatever happens, but we had to sing that song. Colorado Mountain High, Colorado border regions are voting today. And if the votes come in like we think they're going to come in, Colorado will be a Big 12 member. So there it is. We had to sing the song. Thank you so much, Jim Bagley, for the super chat. Appreciate your generosity to the show. Great day for the Big 12. What is the point spread? The second team jumping from the Pac-12 to the Big 12. You're talking about the second Pac-12 team, Arizona. Arizona. I would have it about -3.5. Not at the -6.5 of Colorado. The last line that we put out after we got some really negative news about 3 weeks ago in regards to the Pac-12 meeting negotiations, that it was still all just fluff. There was nothing real. I would put it at 3.5 right now, Jim. 3.5. Not as high as 6.5. Arizona is the center of the stage. We will get to Act 13. We're going to redo the stage. A lot of action going on. A lot of cloak and dagger. Get your mug. Get your cloak and dagger mug with my beautiful face. You see that face? Where is that face? Jeez, I can't even do this. Look at that. I can't even do this. I don't even have the dexterity to do this. There's my beautiful mug right there. Go to the link provided in the description box. Pick yourself up a cloak and dagger mug or a t-shirt. Whatever you want to get, go get it for your friends and family. I appreciate it, David Hackett. Thank you so very much. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. John Freed, Washington, Oregon, trying to get to the Big Ten. They're getting antsy by talking to the Big 12. Are they trying to twist some Big Ten wrist? Cloak and dagger. Yeah, they're taking one more swing for early entry into the Big Ten. No question about it. No question about it. Son of Sarek, we'll get to it, John. We'll get to it. Son of Sarek, a ship in harbor is safe. The USS Arizona has entered the chat. Penn State Nation up in here. PSU nitwit. PSU, you might be proud to be here. However, I did predict Penn State to win the Big Ten championship this year. I have them going to the college football playoffs. And last year, I was Greg the Cooler. So you might not be happy with me in the next couple months. You might not be happy with me at all. You might not be proud to be here because I was Greg the Cooler last year. Hopefully, I'm Greg the Heater this year. Penn State Nittany Lion fans, the PATC community are very, very nervous. Very nervous that I've got them winning the Big Ten championship this year. Oh, that's right. Mireya, the moderator, the one who rules with the iron fist today, July 27th, is Mireya Hernandez Garcia Flugar, and my wedding anniversary, 21 years. We're going out tonight. We're not really going out tonight. We're going to bring some food, bring it back home because it's about 100 degrees out there. The air quality is dangerous. So we're going to be eating inside wedding anniversary number 21 today. That's why we're doing the show a little bit early today. A little bit early than what we were. Well, we'll just leave it at that. So happy anniversary. Thank you, David. Thank you, Laura Weiss. Minus 3.5 only equates to 60% chance. I think that sounds right now. Right now, I think that sounds right. I think that sounds right. Adam Vulture, is Oregon Hail Mary possible? Could Brett Yormark connect for the touchdown? He's going for broke. Brett Yormark is going for broke. We think there's no question. Oregon and Washington are talking to the Big Ten over here, talking to Brett Yormark over there, and they're in the Pac-12 meetings today. Let's take a look at that. Thank you so much, Adam, for your super chat, for your generosity to the show. I appreciate it. Let's get to some stuff that's going on right now. Right now. For those who are late coming to the show, we sang what did we sing again? Colorado Mountain High. So if you need watch it, listen to it, you can go back and watch the start of the show. We started that in dedication to Chris Petry, great mountaineer, great YouTube host. He passed away tragically in the spring. So that was for you, Chris, and for your family. I hope you enjoyed it. Up in the heavens. I appreciate it. Now, okay, let's get to it. Stuart Mandel. The Pac-12 CEOs and ADs will hold a meeting this afternoon to discuss options. A source confirmed to The Athletic, first reported by John Casano. Now, I'm gonna love to listen to people's read people's comments and listen to your phone calls, because what are the Pac-12 options right now? To stick at 9 schools? I don't think that's an option. To go to 10th school, that means San Diego State for the 2024 season. If they don't lose anybody else, they have to go $34 million. $34 million, and so would any other Mountain West school. What is their option? What is their option? Maybe a Tulane. I think I don't know what their exit fee is. But what is the Pac-12 option? Can they expand before they get the media deal done? What school would agree to enter into the Pac-12 without knowing what the media deal is, not knowing who's going to be there to even sign the grant of rights? What is the Pac-12's options? Now, Jim Williams, I can confirm, this is his tweet today. I can confirm that the Pac-12 has spoken with officials from the ACC ahead of a very important CEO and ad meeting set for later today. More to come as I get additional information. I can confirm that the Pac-12 has spoken with officials of the ACC. I'm looking forward to reading your comments about this potential as well and your phone calls. I want to add one more thing to this. Brian Murphy said today, tweeted out, ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, the ACC has been and remains highly engaged in looking at anything that makes us a better and stronger conference now and in the future. We have spent considerable time on expansion to see if there's anything that fits into what I just described. A better and stronger conference. We really like our group of institutions, but if there was something that made us better, we would absolutely be open to it. Is the ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, is he talking about this potential somehow doing something with the Pac-12? I have my serious doubts. I don't know how that would work. I don't know how that would benefit the ACC schools. And Oregon and Washington, they would have to sign on to a grant of rights that would last to 2036. I have never understood this possibility. Maybe what Jim Williams, maybe some scheduling arrangements, maybe some alliance. I don't know. I don't know where this road would go. I don't know where this road would travel to, the Pac-12 and the ACC. I am not a big believer in that. And I'm looking forward to reading your comments, your phone calls. Disagree with me. Let me know how wrong I've got it. There is somehow, some way for the Pac-12 and the ACC to combine some of their content, do something that makes them more valuable, but I don't know why the ACC would put out don't know why they would help out the Pac-12. ESPN is not interested so much. Anyways, and then finally, John Casano puts out a tweet. Pac-12 CEO group has called a meeting for this afternoon. Like we talked about earlier, Stuart Mandel. The conference athletic directors will be included on the call. A member of the CEO group told me they will discuss the opportunity to trade up through expansion, given Colorado's decision to trade up. For me, this ranks with those other phrases of the room has shifted. Circle the March 17th date. Clout chaser. Carnival barkers are out there. The 50%, those 50%ers who are just causing a lot of issues out there on Twitter. Trade up. Where do you even if someone would tell me that, even if somebody in the CEO group would say that, at this point in time, I would never tweet that out. That has no value to the story. To trade up, who are you trading up? Who is your trade up from Colorado? And this is not a shot at San Diego State, who has to fork over $34 million to get to the Pac-12 in 2024. A trade up. That is just one of those shots that really doesn't need to happen. anyways, so those are the things that so many things going on in the background. Let me get to Daniel Montecastle. Happy anniversary, Greg and Maria. Thank you so much, Daniel, for your super chat, your generosity. I appreciate it so very much. Thanks to your wife and yourself. Happy anniversary, 21 years. 21 years the little general has put up with the fat guy from Minnesota. Thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate it. Act 13 update. Let's get to it right now, Grant. Let's get to it right now. For those who, now look, in 32 minutes from now, the Colorado Board of Regents start to meet, and it's going to be live stream. We're not going to cover it here. So if you can watch it somehow, some way while watching our show, put down in the comments section, or we might be at phone calls at that point. We'll definitely be at phone calls at that point. Tell us what's going on, how the votes are going. Is it going as planned? Keep your head on a swivel, PATC community. Keep us informed. Keep us informed of what is happening during that meeting. So that's going to happen 32 minutes from right now. Act 13, let's get to that update. And then we're going to quickly get into your phone calls because there's lots to talk about. What do you think are the Pac-12 options? Do you think there's really an ACC Pac-12 options? What do you think Oregon and Washington are doing right now? How long is it going to take Arizona to make the decision? On and on and on and on. You can talk about anything you want to talk about. PATC community, you can disagree with your host. Give us a call at 763-260-1333. The phone lines are not quite open yet. They're not quite open yet. Act 13 update. Colorado within the next hour is going to walk off the stage. Remember, Brett Yormark, start of Act 13, wasn't standing next to him anymore. And we told you why. Because he was not needed there anymore. He's doing other things. He's pushing the envelope on the potentiality of basketball schools only. He's doing other things. Brett Yormark would love to have UConn as a full member of the Big 12. But he's got to be able to use all that political capital. All that political capital that he's earning to gain consensus among the Big 12 presidents. Can he do it? UConn is hoping that he can. But Brett Yormark's, the first domino is Colorado. The next one is Arizona. So Arizona is front and center on the stage. And according to all public comments, Bobby Robbins is patient. He's waiting for the numbers, but there's got to be so much pressure on him now. It's a prisoner dilemma. He's got to look back of his shoulder at Arizona State, who is not happy. Arizona State does not have the affinity to the Big 12 schools, to Yormark, like Robbins does. But Arizona State is peeved. They're very upset. Who knows how much patience they truly have at this point. So Arizona, they have to look over their shoulder at Arizona State, look over their shoulder at Arizona. They're going to have to make sure that Yormark gives them enough time. Will Yormark give them enough time to actually see the Pac-12 numbers, however they come in? But Arizona is on the stage, the only one on the stage. Arizona State is all the way up to the first row. Once again, Utah is in the second row. UConn has moved up back to the fifth row. First row, second row, fifth row. Arizona State, Utah, and UConn. Gonzaga is still behind that curtain, behind the stage, looking at the basketball uniforms, taking some shots at the basketball hoop. Gonzaga is now, there is some steam possibilities. They were not in the auditorium for the last 2 months. They are in the auditorium now. They were a couple days ago as well. Gonzaga, wild shot, long shot, but a live long shot, but they are behind the curtains. They are behind the curtains. They're on the stage behind the curtains. The people in the seats can't see them, but they're behind the curtains, Gonzaga. So that is what the auditorium looks like right now. But I'm just going to warn you, PATC community, I'm just going to warn you. There is a van barreling down the highway, about to enter into the parking lot. And in that van is Oregon, Washington, the Fox executive. They're about to get back into that parking lot, and then there is a limo in back of that van. And the limo is right in back of that van, and it's coming into the parking lot. And I know you're going to say, Greg, this is impossible. Tony Petry can't be at two places at once. He can't be at the Big Ten media days and be a couple blocks away from entering the parking lot. Oh, but yes, in PATC land, it is possible. It is definitely happening. Tony Petry, right behind the van, sitting in the back of his limo. His limo driver is driving. He's a couple blocks away from the parking lot. Not quite there. Not quite there. A lot of communications back and forth. Oregon, Washington playing some leverage game. Tony Petry, Big Ten interest has spiked up. Cloak and dagger is all over the place. We don't see Oregon State. We don't see UNLV. We don't see Washington State. We don't see Stanford. We don't see California. We don't see Memphis. The other schools are not in the auditorium. They're not barreling down the highway a couple blocks away from the parking lot. We don't see that. Not right now. Not right now, July 27th. Now, I'm not even going to say it's fluid. It's volatile. It's like a volcano. It's like a volcano. Remember something. It's not just the schools reaching out to Brett Yormark. It's not just the schools reaching out to Tony Petry. It's not just the schools, maybe the commissioner of the Pac-12 reaching out to the ACC, having meetings. It's not just about that. It's about the commissioners getting reached out by from a school, the commissioners reaching out to their media partners. That communication, back and forth, getting valuations, saying, how can we make this work? Can we do this now? Who's going to pay for it? Where are we going to slot them in? What would our conference look like? What would the scheduling look like? The traveling look like? The communications, the phone lines are burning up. But you have to include the media partners in all these discussions. And that's the problem where the Pac-12 has right now. They don't have leverage. They don't have much because they don't have future media partners in their back pockets. That's the problem with the Pac-12. And it's killing them right now. They really don't know what would happen if they brought on an SMU as their 10th school or San Diego State. What they're going to be able to get. They have to start almost from scratch. Let's get to your comments. This monologue went longer than I thought, but we had to cover it all. Let's get to your comments, and then we'll get to your phone calls as soon as possible. And let me know if something is popping right now on Twitter. Something popping, some news, put it in the chat. Alert me, and then put it into my DMs at Flug Empire, and we'll go right at it. Mireya says, I only make people laugh when I sing Ask Grandma. Ask my mother, Maxine Roney Flugar. Mireya, you have a beautiful voice. Beautiful voice. Big Ten interest has to spike up. Their hand is being forced. And you throw in the fact that they're mighty interested in Washington and Oregon. If it wasn't now, it would be 5 years from now. They've been cleared. They've been vetted. They've had preliminary meetings in Washington, D.C., New York City. It wasn't just Kevin Warren. We've gone over this over and over and over again, but the timing wasn't right. It was only going to be 2 schools, UCLA, USC, to grab the Los Angeles market. That's what Fox Sports wanted. But Fox Sports is not holding this back. At this point in time, they're not the ones that have been holding this back. So, yeah. Big Ten interest has spiked. According to Scheer this morning, there isn't even a Pac deal. Yeah, there's not a Pac deal in sight. The Wednesday, man, these days are running together. The last time the Pac-12 got together, you know what? We don't even have to go there. They don't have a deal in sight. They haven't received real numbers yet after 12 months of this. So, Greg singing is music to my fears. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Jay Chapman, there can't be a Pac TV deal now. Everything they've built so far would have to be renegotiated. True, Jay. You're absolutely correct. Great point. Great point. Great point. Just a rowdy dude from South Carolina. The SEC wants Florida State and Clemson. We're going to be talking about that. There's going to be a whole new play set up at the Holy Smokes Theater. I think we're going to be setting that up pretty quick. The first time we talked about Florida State, the money perch, was December 26, 2022. Then we talked about it March 31st, 2023 with some more information. But we're at the beginning. No, we're at the middle of the beginning of the ACC story, of the ACC drama. So I think it's going to get more dramatic here in the weeks and months ahead. So stick with us here. Just a rowdy dude from South Carolina. We're going to be doing with that story like what we did here in the Pac-12, Big 12 saga. So stay with us. Stay with us. Did Washington and Oregon stock just drop? No. Well, he retracted that. He retracted that. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. Greg the crooner with a voice like velvet. Holy smokes. More like, I don't know about that, Mac, but thank you for those kind words. I appreciate it. The Brad King 2001, munching on popcorn, enjoying the show from deep inside SEC country. Man, this offseason has had no shortage of drama. Happy to see all these cliffhangers starting to pan out, and we've only just begun the Brad King 2001. Those crazy ducks are still taking photos with the Buckeyes. Yes, they do. Do they have volcanoes in Pflugerland? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Petry has a body double like Putin. Yeah. Well, he's in 2 places at once. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Big 12 limos outside the PATC Theater. Colorado ready to get in the limo. Several other limos are awaiting. By David Hackett. Now all the daggers have been sharpened. Hagen. Okay. Okay. Let's get to your phone calls. We are 19 minutes away. 18 minutes away. 18 minutes away from the start of the Colorado Board of Regents public session. I think they're going to Zoom it. and we should see the vote. You guys will see the vote. I won't see the vote in the studio. Let us keep us all updated in the chat and per phone calls how the meeting is going. Let's get to the phone calls right now. Again, phone number 763-260-1333. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. If you want your comments to be talked about, explored, digged into, put a donation in the comment in the dollar, hit the dollar, small donation to help us out here at Peek Around the Corner. Thank you so very much.
Nathan Brown.
Big 12 Mafia. What's going on? What's the latest steam? Holy smokes.
Oh my gosh, Greg, so much stuff. The past 24 hours has been amazing. If you guys aren't tuned in and turn on your notifications for Peek Around the Corner, you are missing everything. I just wanted to make a couple comments, Greg. I know you got more important people to call in, but just a couple things. The first thing is Stuart Mandel came out with his article. Not 3 minutes ago, John Wilner just came out with the same article. These guys cannot seem to break the timing of their article releases up by more than 2 minutes. And they all have the same tone. It's almost like they take the same format and spread it around for all their articles. I just don't get that part of it. So that's one thing. The other part of it is, how can there be any signaling that there's an improvement from losing Colorado? There is zero opportunity to bring in another P5, and there is no school that's worth even half what Colorado brings. So I don't understand those things.
That was the gentleman should not have put that in his tweet. That in regards to the same, basically the same, the same messaging and everything, because they're hearing it from the same source, right?
Right.
So they're sort of, so that's what's going on. I wish that some of these reporters kind of reached out beyond where they normally swim.
Right.
In the check, they have a double check on what they're being told. Look, Ross Dellinger himself, the writer of Yahoo Sports, used to be with SI, the great Ross Dellinger, he said, look, I've heard the same things that Stuart Mandel and Canzado's been hearing,
Right.
but that source has been unreliable, so I'm not going with it. At some point, when you have the same source telling you the same thing over and over and over and over again, that we're just right around the corner, March 17th, circle that date, or March 21st, on and on, the room has shifted, blah, and nothing happens, you've got to dump the source. You've got to dump the source, even if, I'm just putting that out there, allegedly, I have no idea, even if it's the president of Washington State. You cannot rely on the same source giving the same bad information over and over and over again and keep going to the same well. Go ahead, Nathan.
And it's important for people to understand, you and I and other people that have shows, it's hard for us to filter through the information that we get. We both receive tips from people. We sit and sort out what we're going to put out in tweets and on our shows. But the difference is you and I keep a neutral tone. I'm not saying we don't have a rooting interest. I'm a Big 12 BYU guy. I don't
have a rooting interest.
But I don't answer to BYU.
Yeah, I got
right?
it. Yeah.
You don't answer to Minnesota or the Big Ten. At the end of the day,
they don't like me.
We don't go out there.
Yeah.
We don't write negative articles. We don't say Colorado, when they leave my conference, Colorado is now a bad school. The narrative that the fact that they left, they're the enemy. Colorado broke the Pac-12. That's the messaging we're seeing from every mouthpiece, including messaging we're getting from George Kliavkoff. They're saying the reason the Pac-12 is failing is because Colorado left us hanging. That was on the radio at Utah, up at the hill in Salt Lake City I listen to the radio for 5 minutes. The very first thing the guy says, Bill Riley is his name, he says, it's Colorado's fault. They did this to us. Now how does Utah react? That whole idea is so wrong and goes against every rule in journalism and everything else. I cannot believe it lasts. It's really crazy.
Yeah. I agree. I just don't. I don't know what else to say about it. It's
right. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to provide an answer.
Yeah.
I'm just editorializing on sort of the tone and tenor of social media people like you and I, influencers, and journalists. There's not much difference. There used to be a barrier. There used to be a wall between everybody else and that estate that is journalism. And now I would say that that line has completely been obliterated through all of this college realignment stuff. And I can't see a difference between some of the information they're putting out as real journalists. They get passes to these conference deals. I don't get a pass. So they're card-carrying journalists, and yet their articles could be written by any yokel out on the street. It blows me away how far this has come.
Yeah, I agree. Appreciate it. Are you having a live show tonight?
Maybe. I'm thinking about it. I'm going to do one guest appearance, and I might do one after it. But regardless, everybody tune in to Peek Around the Corner. The guy knows what he's talking about. Greg, you're a great friend and mentor, and I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thanks for those kind words. Gold knows, FSU, can we not make this a Pac media versus Big 12 media thing? The constant bickering is childish. I have read the Florida State. I'm going to get to Florida State in a second here.
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, can you hold us a moment?
Sure, Craig.
Appreciate it. I read what the Florida State 247 writer there said about Florida State getting more active about trying to depart the ACC. We at Peek Around the Corner, we're probably going to cover what that gentleman said tomorrow. Although I got to tell you, we did 3 morning shows, 3 morning episodes. If you haven't caught them, go give them a watch because there's so many angles, there's so many things that are going on. But we're going to try to cover what he said tomorrow. I will add the following, and I don't think you're going to get this anywhere else. Pretty sure you're not going to get this in, well, I don't know. Maybe you will. But there is, I'm just trying to figure out how far I can go with this. Within the Florida State leadership, they're not quite all aligned on when and how risky this is to challenge the grant of rights. And that is natural. Right? That's natural, right? I mean, this is going to be this is going to be a story that is so massive. It is going to be all consuming. Now, we at Peek Around the Corner, we're going to cover it like no one else, but we're also going to cover everything else in college football. You know we will, and we'll continue to do so. What I will tell you is there is, and I'm going to be careful here, there is somebody at the board of Florida State who has got some push, who's got a whole lot of money, who's got some push, is really fired up about this, who thinks they can do it. Yeah, it's going to cost a couple $100 million, negotiate it, let's get out of here. The athletic director, not so gung-ho, but he is on his side. The president and some others are not as gung-ho. I understand why we're getting this percolation coming from Florida State beat writers. I get it because they're getting some really good information from really good sources, I believe, within Florida State, in and around those people or that certain person that really wants to put the pedal to the metal and let's go, baby. Let's do this earlier the better. It does not help us that we wait. It does not help us that we wait. That's probably going to be what I call the first live show or episode that we do on this Florida State thing for a while anyways. It does not help us if we wait. That seems to be the chant that's going on inside Florida State. But now if someone calls, I saw the Florida State Noah's in the house. That August 15th. I could spend the whole afternoon talking about this, but I'm not going to. I can't. We got other big stories. What I'm saying is, I understand why people are saying what they're saying, and I'm not saying it's not true, but it's part of the story. Right now, it's the most vocal part of the story. It does not help us if we wait any longer. Ryan Thomas, thank you for your patience. The floor is yours. What's going on, sir?
Well, holy smoking, swiveling, cloaking dagger.
Yeah.
The one reason why we know that all this, you were telling the truth the whole time, Greg, is if Greg the Cooler was predicting any of this stuff, none of it would have happened. The fact that you were spot on means that, you were telling the truth. And by the way, the McMurphy article, I mean, you don't have to say anything, but I'm pretty sure that Brett McMurphy's probably one of your sources, Greg. It's okay, you but
that's definitely not true.
But it was spot on. It was exactly what you said, and I mean, I thought that was a nice.
Well, I will say this: everything that he put in the article, and he did a great job. He's top of the line. I call him the great Brett McMurphy. I'm not saying a whole bunch of people had all that information, okay? But there was more than a couple. And we were fortunate. We worked hard enough. We had all those dates. We had all that information. And now I hope people can see why we had to tell the story in the way we told it inside the theater. We could not talk about, we couldn't call it a meeting right away. We call it a hot bubble of action. There were things that we could not do. We pushed the envelope, Ryan, as much as we possibly could have pushed it. People were still frustrated with us. I understand that. But if you check all what Brett McMurphy said and other reporters have said, you can see that Peek Around the Corner told no lies. We didn't make anything up. We didn't pull anything out of thin air. It was all by hard work. We were very fortunate. Very good people helped us. And that's it. That's all I can say. But go ahead, Ryan. Get to your point of the call. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was mainly to say you did the right way, Greg. And, thank you so much for putting up with the real carnival barkers, not you. It's sort of this whole issue. I mean, some of the people, and one of the people that you kept receipts on, I mean, there are some people that went as far as calling people's employers, trying to get them fired or to try to destroy their YouTube show just because they didn't agree with them. And I appreciate the fact that you've been classy. Now that this is sort of materializing, I do think Arizona is going to jump next. I just don't see, I don't see anything happening with the Pac and the ACC because, first of all, Kliakoff's not confident enough to even get a media deal together. And second of all, the ACC, I've said this before, but Miami, Florida State, and and Clemson are not giving up their SEC and Notre Dame games at the 2036 to play Washington State or Oregon State. I think that you're going to see some big movement, and I think at that point the Big Ten will come in and just take Washington and Oregon for the time being. I think they'll probably do that because the discount that'll be available will be too good to pass up. And I think probably in the next couple of weeks you're going to see some serious movement in the theater. But, it's a great job. Hopefully all of this stuff gets resolved in the next 3 weeks. So when we hit kickoff in week 0, Greg, we can just focus on football and worry about the future. And I appreciate everything you do. And thank you to all those of you who call in and contribute on the show and other people's shows. I always enjoy people's opinions, even if I don't agree with them. And thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Great call. Great call. We are 3 minutes away from the meeting, the Colorado Board of Regents meeting starting. From all indications, we're going to have a public vote for Colorado. Public vote to move from the Pac-12 to the Big 12 Kaufman. This is for all your overtime work. Keep up the great work, Greg. Thank you, Kaufman, for your generosity to the show. I appreciate you so very much.
Go Cougars.
Go Cougars is on the line. The floor is yours.
Hey, buddy, I just got to tell you, you must be the hardest working guy on YouTube. You keep working that hard, Greg, and the fat guy from Minnesota is going to be the skinny guy from Minnesota.
I don't think so. Yeah, you guys should see all the carbs I ate today. So that's not happening anytime soon. But you know what? Maybe someday I'll reach for the stars and actually lose a couple pounds. But what do you got to say, Eric?
Hey, don't feel bad. I got to lose a few myself. First of all, your last caller, you have a lot of great callers, but I just want to say he's one of my favorites. And he always comes with really valuable information and logic, and he's always, professional and classy. I just want to let him know, hey, man, I enjoy your calls. I also enjoy him on the Brown Bomber Show. He always comes from a place of intelligence. But my first comment is you ask people to comment about what they thought about the possible alliance, merger, whatever they're talking about with the ACC and the Pac. The first thing I want to say about that is, A, how did that work out for him last time? And B, if it doesn't have the force of contract or anything in writing and it's just a public statement and they shake hands, it doesn't really mean a hill of beans. And C, if they get to where they actually put it into any kind of contractual writing and it becomes like a written thing, almost borderline merger, then you might have some legal problems and be risking your grant of rights over in the ACC. So I don't see much coming of it. I don't think you can have anything done that's going to be substantial right now because the Pac-12 is so lacking in leadership. The biggest gulf they have isn't just in TV, it's in leadership between Yorkman and their commissioner. Leadership matters. And the third thing that they're really lacking is the one thing the Big 12 has going for them right now is they're unified. They're unified as a conference. I don't know how much GK can really act on new teams or doing anything divisive because I think it's like herding stray cats right now. I do not think they're unified to do anything too decisive right now. You got half the people trying to get out the door. So how much are they going to be willing to help you keep the conference together? And they don't seem to be able to agree on anything. And then you got a leader that's not a decisive leader anyway. So I just don't think they're going to be unified to pull a lot off. They've got the same problem the Big 12 used to have for years that they don't have anymore. Leadership matters, and they don't have much of it.
Yep, you got it. I mean, it's the Big 12 is aligned, right? They are aligned, plus they have a TV contract, so they can go hunting. And that was all part of Yormark's decision to get in front of the Pac-12 and strike a deal with Fox and ESPN. This is, Yormark planned his work and worked his plan. That's what Yormark did. And we recognized it on October 30th, 2022, episode 83. It was, even though Yormark said a couple weeks prior to October 30th, in the middle of October, he says, I think we could get something done in a couple weeks. In my gut, I was like, holy smokes, he's actually going to pull this off, because if he does, the Pac-12 is going to be in trouble. And then when it happened, it blew me away. And we congratulated Yormark when a lot of other people at that time, if you go back to other people's YouTube channels, discussions on TV or the radio saying Yormark left some money on the table. He should have waited. The deal's going to get better if you waited. Historically, it gets better when you wait. That's not how we saw it. And I think that decision to go up all the way and have Fox and ESPN be okay with Yormark, because they had to agree with Yormark to move up the exclusive negotiation windows. The current contract has ESPN and Fox having exclusive negotiation windows with the Big 12, for Big 12 to move that up 18 months. And for Fox and ESPN to agree to it, should have set big red flags. The Pac-12 right there and then, and the Pac-12 should have agreed to whatever ESPN and Fox were offering. But they overvalued themselves, and now the Pac-12 hangs in the balance.
Absolutely. They're a focus group, and they're behind their leader. And the other thing is the networks respects their leader. I think ESPN and Fox have a much higher level of respect for Brett than they do for the Pac-12 commissioner, just to be honest. And I think that also matters. He has past relationship with them, and the other thing, he's got the communication skills and the charisma to get people behind him.
Yeah.
And get people unified with him. And the Pac-12 commissioner, let's face it, he's not the most charismatic guy.
Yeah.
He's not someone that can really persuade people to his side of things. And that other thing he does, it's a big mistake that I learned in business a long, long time ago. You can't constantly overpromise and underdeliver. At some point, people get tired of that. You're much better off surprising people with your success and making them think you're not. It's better to underpromise and overdeliver than overpromise, and never deliver. And how many times did he promise them, oh, a big deal? How many times did he promise, I'm going to be coming with numbers? So he was always making promises that he didn't keep. And that also makes your members not have confidence in you. That's a big part of this as well, Greg.
Got it. You got it right, Eric. You got it right.
Hey, you have a blessed day.
You too.
And man, when this gets all done, you and the little general need to take a vacation somewhere.
Got it. I think you're correct on that. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Hey, you have a blessed day, and thank you to the little general. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, got to get to a few comments. First of all, I'm getting a lot of some Twitter comments and stuff. We sang the John Denver, Colorado Mountain High at the beginning of the show. So if you want to check that out, if you want to...
Call from
Monovision.
Monovision, I'm sorry to do this to you. Can you hold on for a second?
Yeah, Greg, go ahead.
Appreciate it. So John Denver, the song Colorado Mountain High was sung at the very beginning of this live show in dedication to Chris Petry, the Gold and Blue dude. So if you missed it, if you want to listen to it, if you want to damage your ears, go ahead and replay the start of the live show when we're all done here. Greg Swam asked about t-shirts. We do have t-shirts. Always keep your head on a swivel t-shirts at a merchandise store. Check that out in the description box below the video. We have them in all different colors. And Greg Swam also says, do you think PJ's job is in jeopardy? No, I don't think. I think this story is pretty much over with. Now, if something real or something comes out of this that's bigger than what's being reported, which could potentially be true, then maybe. But most of what it was in that story from Front Office Sports was everything we knew already. The Board of Regents person that was in that article is in every article, that he doesn't even want sports at the college level. So that guy, whatever. There is just some disgruntled players that have raised their voice. Now they're ones that have gotten in trouble. PJ Fleck runs a very tight ship, no pun intended, row the boat. His players, they know what they're getting into. He has a certain culture. Yes, he says a lot of phrases, but he puts them up all over the athletic building, the practice facility. They're all over the place. Yes, you have to know what all those acronyms mean. You have to have community service. You have to do it big time. If you don't, then you don't fit with the program. You know, these players that come in at the University of Minnesota football, none of this is hidden from them. They know what they have to do. PJ Fleck said, there is no coins. There is no Fleck Bank. What Fleck is talking about is if you do the right things in life, you get to invest the coins in your bank of life. He's phrasing it like a life thing, a life coach. That's what he is. He's a social studies teacher, being a head football coach at a university. The players have come out en masse. Everybody, I mean, you listen to Chris Ottman-Bell say what he said at the media days. All the NFL players that PJ Fleck has put in, hear what they have said in the last 24 days. So, again, however, Greg and everybody else, I'm biased. I am biased. So you might take my words with a grain of salt. I'll try to shoot it straight down the line. But right now, everything that was said about PJ Fleck in that article is true. Except for, you know, PJ Fleck says these are baseless statements. There is no bank. There was none of that. They did not run. If a person came to practice late, they had to clean out the equipment room. Look, he runs a tight ship. He's from the Jim Tressel. Tressel was his mentor. This is who he is. And everything he is in front of the camera, he's in back of the camera. Is he weird? Is he odd? Is he not for everybody? True, true, true. But he's authentic. It's exactly who he is, and nothing is hidden. Nothing is hidden. The players know. The Gophers have lost some recruits because the player can't fit into that culture. It happens everywhere. And PJ Fleck has won. And of course, he's won too many games, Swam. He's won 29 games in the last 3 full seasons as the Gophers head coach. The best 3-year stretch for the University of Minnesota since 1962 to 1964. Unless there's something else in there, which there could be, PJ Fleck is going nowhere. Monovision, the floor is yours. You can have as much time as you want. I appreciate your patience, sir.
All right, Greg. Sounds like you're a member of a cult that worships PJ Fleck. Definitely. That definitely sounds like a cult member, Greg. Just, you know, put it out there. That sounds exactly like what
I'm a cult member
about the cult leader.
I'm a cult member, but I did say that I'm biased, and you shouldn't really listen. Maybe you shouldn't listen to what I'm saying right now. So I did say that.
I think PJ's fine. He's the best Gopher coach since Glenn Mason, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So they have officially made it. Colorado has went to the Big 12.
Holy smokes!
If you were wondering.
Holy smokes!
Arizona, I think, follows by Monday.
Wow.
I think Arizona follows by Monday. Arizona State is now on the clock, I believe. But
I'm sorry, Monovision, to do this to you once again. I got to play this because the little general wanted this to be played when this officially happened. Monovision, I apologize profusely again to you. I've got to play something real quick. Is that okay?
Go for it.
Okay, Monovision, Chihuahua Mirachi. I had to do it. Go. The floor is yours again, sir.
Well, I just wanted to say, Greg, it was, I don't know if you've ever seen The Godfather, but it's not Tattaglia. It was Barzini all along. Barzini all alone.
Ah, yes, I do. I know who I know what you're talking about.
I will leave it at that cryptic thing. I just wanted to call in and say great job as always.
Thank you.
Greg was right. Hashtag Moen was right too. We need that hashtag shirt in the PATC merch store. Hashtag Flugs was right. Hashtag
Got it.
Greg was right.
We'll work on it. Thank you, Mr. Buckeye.
Yep. As always, no future big expansion without Notre Dame.
Got it. Mark, I take this as Rick George, the athletic director of Colorado, saying, looking forward to a successful final season in the Pac. Am I correct on that?
Call from
ABO Prep.
Can you hold for a second?
Yeah, Greg, it's Soap. I am streaming the meeting. I can plug you in if you want to listen to it.
No, I don't want it plugged in.
Fair enough. I will call you back. I'll call you back after and let you know what happened.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I don't want to risk anything. I'm going to rely on the PATC community as they put their head on a swivel. Mark, I'm assuming that's Rick George, the Colorado athletic director, saying looking forward to a successful final season in the Pac. Thank you so much, Mark, for your super chat, for your generosity once again to this channel, and all your kind words on Twitter. Thank you, Mark, so very much. Adam Vulture, done. Well, come on. Welcome to the Big Lubbock, Colorado. Jeez, I forgot all about that. Adam, I'll get to you in a second.
call from
Rebecca, go Huskies.
Rebecca, can you hold on a second?
I got you, Greg.
Thank you, appreciate it. Adam, thank you for your generosity, for your super chat once again. Thank you so very much. Done. Welcome to the Big Lubbock, Colorado. Thanks once again. Okay, I think I've caught up. Becky, Mrs. Washington Husky is on the line. The floor is yours.
Well, I mean, this went fast. No.
Yeah. Months and months.
Yeah, in fact, somebody, I don't remember who it was, had said, literally in the middle of their talking, they said, we look forward to being in the Pac-12, the Big 12. He had to actually change the name of the conference mid-sentence. He was still using Pac-12. So it tells you how fresh it is for Colorado fans.
Yeah, good point.
Like I said, I think, it is what it is now. Conference, every member of the conference probably has to start looking out for themselves, and they should. They already weren't.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about who's going next to the Big 12. The two biggest brands out of both Big 12 and the Pac-12 are still out there, and nobody knows what they're doing. They're dead quiet. There's nothing outside of the meeting today that they're having. Washington and Oregon have said nothing publicly. So I think at this point, watch them. The other schools are going to do what they need to do, and they'll probably, I think Motivision's right. I think Arizona's going to bounce quickly here. I think we'll know in the next 2 weeks how many schools are still in the Pac-12 and what's remaining of it, if it's even viable. We'll know if they still have a conference commissioner. I have a weird feeling that the schools, I pretty much have gathered information from reading and talking to people. The presidents are basically telling Kliakoff, this is your date, you have to have a dealer, or that's it. So,
yeah.
And at this point, people are the thought is, and it is out there, Pinzano had reported that they want to seek an upgrade since Colorado's leaving. They would like an upgrade, basically. People are like, oh, that's just talk. No, that's really what the president said. They want to try to figure out if there's an upgrade out there.
But
it's dead. It's dead. The Pac is gone. There's nobody. It's a conference that sits in one time zone.
Yeah.
The ACC is essentially in the same boat. They sit in one time zone.
Yeah. Good point.
If the ACC were up right now, if it weren't the Pac-12, USC and them had left, they had the long contract, we would be talking about the ACC get picked apart right now too.
Yep, and we're probably going to be talking about that, soon. But you're correct, absolutely. Yep. Only the SEC can be a one-region conference and be, successful in this new college football landscape.
And even the SEC is in two different time zones.
True.
They're
yes,
in
ma'am.
Central and Eastern.
Yep, you're correct.
They have multiple times. I mean, I just have been saying this all day. I was like, watch Oregon and Washington. I don't see ESPN or Fox wanting to leave them out there, especially if the Pac collapses. They're not gonna want to leave them floating around. I could see the ACC wanting Washington and Oregon added, but because that would take them to 16 members. I don't see any conference going past 16. Not right now. Not right now. I don't see it happening because the numbers just seem to work. So somebody's going to get left behind, but I don't know who. And like I said, I've been trying to talk to people at Washington. It's dead silent. I sent you a DM on basically what they had told me. Things are breaking down. There may be talks that Oregon has talked to the Big 12 now.
Oh, yeah.
And Oregon may be in, but nobody knows if it's actually Oregon or Oregon State because it's so confusing. It's a sad day to be a Pac-12 fan. It really is.
Yeah, it is. It is. And for us old college football fans, it's a sad day. So.
Yeah. I mean, they were, the Pac, the Pacific Coast Conference formed essentially because of a cheating scandal in the 50s. And then they brought a whole bunch of members back and then added a couple, obviously later on in Arizona State, and Utah and Colorado. But it's just sad that this is where we're at. And it's been, 13 years of ineptitude by the presidents and chancellors of the schools to not be more forward thinking. Curious what your thoughts are. Where do you think Washington and Oregon end up? What do you think ends up happening there?
I think they're swinging for the fences with the Big Ten right now. I think there's talks. Going on right now as we speak. That's why at the Holy Smokes Theater, the limo is driving. Tony Petita's in a limo and he's driving up and he's almost in the parking lot of the theater. And Oregon and Washington are with the Fox executive in a van. They're in the parking lot right now. We'll see in another day or so if we can advance the story in the theater. But that's where we're putting it right now.
I mean, I know it wouldn't it wouldn't be something like the Big Ten president. Obviously, it's media day. They're doing all their stuff anyway. Nothing would occur this week, probably even next week. I think Washington and Oregon are going to hang out until they basically hear from everybody, and then they make an actual decision. I'm
sorry to have to break in, Becky. We have a unanimous vote. Vote passes. It's unanimous. Big 12, all of them have voted for Colorado to join the Big 12. I want to thank, holy smokes, I got to thank Charles Chamberlain for all of your comments with regards to the voting going on in live. Hope all of you guys, really. But Charles Chamberlain, I appreciate it. Mr. Monkey Says, put out a lot of information in the chat. Wow. But I want to thank the PATC community for reporting what was going on in the chat. I apologize, Becky, but we had it when that was official. I had to butt in there.
Yeah, no, you're good. It's a big thing. I mean, it's official. They had to
Yeah.
do a public thing. They did the public thing, and
Yeah.
you know, it's on. It's over. Like now, I think at this point, Pac-12 presidents and Pac-12 presidents were meeting because the only chancellor was at Colorado. They're probably just meeting, and they'll probably come out of that. We'll know some stuff later tonight after they meet. But
Yep.
man, this is a sad day.
Yep.
As a Pac-12 fan, it is just a sad day. But it was something that was always a possibility. And I think more or less, though, at some point we have to start asking questions. How long was Colorado lying to people within the conference? They had to, like, people who were reporting, like beat reporters for the schools were like, no, they're not leaving. There's no talk of that. They're talking to sources at their schools who are like, oh, we talked to Colorado. There's none of that's occurring. There was so much misinformation out there. I could see people missing it because it's so hard to kind of figure out who was truth and who was not. And even national reporters, some of them were disagreeing with each other. But at some point, I think we need to realize Colorado had lied to everybody in that conference for the last week.
Yep. Okay, Becky, we got to go to other phone callers.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Stick
I just
with
wanted to
us.
say, get it out there.
Got it.
Go Huskies.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a long weekend.
Yeah. Holy smokes.
Call from
Jeff Watson.
Jeff Watson, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir.
Wow. Hey, Greg. I'm really happy to be the first phone caller, and really a great day for the Big 12 after being on the mat twice,
Yes.
knocked out, and thought gone for good.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say, that I think a lot of this came about by just people being level-headed and not let emotion play into the game. On the Big 12 side, I think Yormark, he publicly said he wanted 400, he wanted 20 or 30 million more, and they weren't going to give it to him, and he still took that deal versus the Pac-12 said, no, we got egos, we're big people, we're going to wait and try it on the open market, and it's failed miserably. So I just wanted to share that and just say I'm a Wildcat from Kansas State. I really love college football, and I'm just excited for this day, and I think it's one of many dominoes to come.
Yeah, you got it, Jeff. Appreciate it, sir.
Hey, thanks for your time. I appreciate all you do, Greg. And where else can we hear Samir Archie and Rocky Mountain High in the same show? Crazy day.
You got it, buddy.
Thanks,
Thank you. Appreciate it. Arizona vote next Thursday. Is that true? Where are we getting that, Tony? Where are we getting that?
Call from
ABO prep course.
Soap is on the line. The floor is yours, sir.
Hey, Greg. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't plug. I didn't mean to get you in any trouble there, but possible.
That's okay. That's okay.
But the meeting started out with a roll, and it was brought to everyone's attention immediately why they were there. They were there to vote specifically on the topic of joining the PAC. And they went around to many of the members, and one of the most consistent thing was that they all appreciated the time that they had in the PAC. When the chancellor and AD, who were in the same string together, spoke, they made it clear that the reason they were doing it was for better exposure. They felt that there was a stability in the Pac-12 that didn't exist. I'm sorry, check that. Stability in the Big 12, not in the Pac-9, that doesn't exist. And opportunities were better for their student athletes due to the regional exposure that they were offered. They made it clear that they were all excited about it, and it was a common theme that they were talking about going back to the Big 12 or what was the Big 8, and that they had many of the people had experienced watching games while they were students at Colorado as members of the Big 8. And one Regent Morton said, he's looking forward to dominating the Big 12 again.
Okay.
They're now with all that having been said, I just have to ask, and I'm wondering why Colorado made this decision now to announce this. Why didn't they? They had said that they were going to wait until the numbers came through. Yeah. So why did they wait now? Were they offered a better deal, a full pro rata?
No, they had the full pro rata, on May 7th when they met with Yormark. They knew their numbers. They knew everything. They had one question coming out of that May 7th meeting in Chicago. Colorado asked if they could get a certain guaranteed unlinear exposure with their football program in the years ahead. And you know what their answer was? Both Fox and ESPN said, no, you're going to get the same deal every other Big 12 has. Your team, depending on how they're doing, how many eyeballs, but what kind of season they're going to have, that's how you're going to get slotted in with the linear networks of ESPN and Fox. Colorado wasn't going to get a special deal. That was the one question that Colorado had going out of that meeting. Other than that, everything's been decided on. Everything was done when it comes to the Big 12 and the networks with Colorado. Then May 24th, they had a donor meeting. May 31st, they had a donor meeting. Then the donors were for it. And we got word that they were for it. That's why we jacked up the line, the spread, the spread when it comes to the chances of the Big 12 poaching a Pac-12 school. So why they decided now? Because they're not getting a real number. They weren't getting a real number, and they're not going to get a real Pac-12 median number here in the near future. We thought here at Peek Around the Corner, and we opened our live show with it. On the last live show, we took the L. We started with the L, the last live show. We thought that it was going to happen next Monday, Tuesday. That's what we knew, that there was a conversation between Yormark and Colorado. Once the plane landed in Dallas, Yormark coming from Italy, Dallas in the afternoon in the Dallas airport. We knew they had the conversation. We knew things were on their way. But Yormark, we had heard for months that when this was going to happen, they were going to put it out there on a Monday and a Tuesday, but it didn't happen that way. Colorado wanted to get this done now. I don't blame them. But that's why they're doing it now, because they could never get the media. They could never get a real offer, a real presentation of a Pac-12 media deal in front of them. And it still hasn't happened yet, and it's Thursday, July 27th.
Well, that leads me to the reason I brought it up is, what effect does this timing effect have on, let's say, Arizona State, all the other interested parties? Are we running up against some type of time restraint where they need a year before they enter?
Well, I think what happened, and I mentioned on the last live show, I think what happened was ESPN and Fox let it be known indirectly to Colorado, okay, let's go. Time to make a decision. I've heard that August 1st deadline was out there. That might have come from Yormark, but it was really the linear part. ESPN and Fox were really saying it's time to go. Because again, ESPN was out. They were out. And Dennis Dodd's reporting was accurate. And I'm never going to be able to tell the story and why I know that was accurate. When he went out there and said that ESPN is out, when the Big 12 leadership told Dennis Dodd that ESPN was out, when Andrew Michon spent months at the Sports Media Podcast and on the New York Post saying there are miles and miles and miles apart, ESPN and the Pac-12. There are millions and millions of dollars apart between the Pac-12 and ESPN. He was telling the truth. This is why so many, you know what? And I'll end this call this way. Can I take you off the line?
Sure.
So I appreciate your phone call. Please call again.
Hey,
great.
Thanks again for singing. Thanks for the singing. I appreciate that.
Got it. I thank you for somehow getting through that. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And I'm going to say this. These reporters out there that was reporting the difficulties of the Pac-12 getting a media deal done and people being upset, they were being conservative in their reporting. It wasn't an Endeavor plot. They weren't going over the top in their reporting. They were actually being conservative in their reporting. They didn't want to say the same thing over and over again every single week. You could hear it in John Oran's and Andrew Michon's voices. They didn't want to keep saying bad, negative news about the Pac-12 meeting negotiations. You could see that. These reporters weren't doing this to cause a psychological damage to the Pac-12 ability to negotiate a deal. They were actually conservative. I might have been too far out there. But you know, it is what it was. It is what it is. If there was any good news, I was searching for it. Heck, when before this all happened, when 247 Brandon Marcello said that sources told him that Fox was back in the game, I said it. Look, maybe Fox is back in the game. I couldn't confirm it. Then we were told that they weren't in the game. But I try to get something positive. And I asked for it. I said, George Kliavkoff, you have to leak positive information, at least a little bit, a little morsel, to flip the script. To flip the script and the storyline, you got to do it. And it never happened. All of these leaks, there weren't even leaks. All this, the room has shifted. The room has shifted. We're going to get a deal. None of that had meat on the bones. None of it. And everybody was looking for just a little bit of something. And Colorado's Chancellor DeStefano, he was just looking for something real to be put in front of him that he can go back and he can tell the donors, that Rick George can tell the donors, that they can tell the board members. They had nothing to show them internally. There was no numbers that the Pac-12 was giving them. So what do you expect them to do? What do you expect Arizona to do? What do you expect President Bobby Robbins to do? Arizona, the big brand basketball. Where are they going to put their basketball? Tell them. Is it going to be Apple TV? Is that locked in? And then you got to figure out some of the other linear partners. Is that locked in? Tell him something. He's awaiting. He said yesterday publicly, they're still waiting. They need something real or the whole conference is going to shatter. And where all the pieces land, we don't know at Peek Around the Corner, but we're going to continue to cover this incredible, enduring saga as best we can. The phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. Peek Around the Corner. Give us a call. In regards to my receipts, I put one receipt out there. Check out Flug Empire on Twitter. I've decided I'm not going to do it on a YouTube channel because, quite frankly, the person cannot come back at me at YouTube. He can come back at me as all as he want on Twitter, but it would be sort of, I don't know, unethical for me to use this YouTube channel in that way. We're talking college football here. So the receipt, check out Flug Empire. Once you see it, you know where, why, how the receipt was handled. And by the way, I did not create that video. I did not create that. Are you kidding me? You guys know I cannot do that. I'm barely able to flip the computer switch on to run this channel.
Call from
Guard.
I'm sorry, what was the name? Hello.
Southern Guard.
Okay, the floor is yours. What's going on?
Hey, great job covering this as always, man. Excuse me. I wanted to get your, so it's kind of a auto-centric show, but I want to get your thoughts on the FG rumor, how you think this could potentially affect the ACC down the road. I'm a Louisville guy myself, so kind of wrapped up in this, have been since 2011.
Yeah, okay. You're asking me, you're coming in and out, but you're asking me how the ACC, how that's going to go about. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, if you could see any potential effects from this move affecting the ACC down the line.
Okay, well, I will say this. Great question. When we first, at Peek Around the Corner, I know we have new people coming to this channel all the time. The first time we talked about the Florida State money, we talked about it December 26, 2022. We were told to stand down on it, so we didn't talk much about it. People in the PATC community know about that show. That was an infamous show because I advertised the show. I was talking about Florida State potentially challenging the grant of rights, and suddenly I couldn't talk about it. Then on March 31st, 2023, we did a show that we went right into the deep weeds. I would tell you, from this time, all this time, we believe the first quarter of 2024 was the time that Florida State or somebody else was going to challenge the grant of rights in the courts. Maybe that timeline is moving up. There is a whole lot of steam going on. To get to your question in particular, I'm gonna your phone's making a lot of noise, so can you hang up and listen to the answer?
Yeah, sure enough.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the call.
Uh-huh.
Thanks for the call. I don't know how much this is affecting the ACC situation. I really don't, but from Florida State's perception, Clemson, they wanted this. Chaos is good for them. Chaos is very good for them. Because maybe, possibly, Big Ten hurries up their, moves up their expansion with Oregon and Washington, and then maybe somehow, someway, ESPN and SEC has to respond. Chaos, this is good for Florida State and Clemson. At least that's how they believe it. North Carolina as well, Miami, Florida as well. There's been articles written about it. This is what they wanted, and they're getting what they wanted. Now, me personally, again, this story at some point is going to go to, bam, Florida State going to the courts to challenge the grant of rights. Or bam, Clemson is going to the courts to challenge the grant of rights. Or Florida State and Clemson together are going to try to negotiate their way out of the grant of rights.
Call from
Steve.
Steve, can you hold on just 1 second, sir?
Sure.
I just want to finish this thought. So that is where, that's the next bomb to drop on the story. Could we hear a little bit more from Florida State, Clemson saying, or we really need to see changes in the ACC. We really need to see changes. I don't think so. They've already done that. They've already got the ACC on equal revenue sharing. They've already spoken public. They've already set the table. Now it's about the lawyers. It's about the leadership. It's about saying we are willing to risk this level of risk because, my goodness, we're getting crushed by SEC and the Big Ten, and look how much damage that's going to cause us in the next 15 years. I will say this again. I said this early in the show. We did not advertise this for this live show. We'll get to it when we can get to it. But Florida State is not quite aligned. Their leadership is not quite aligned in going for it right now. Maybe they get aligned, but I'm telling you, there's somebody in the board. Big name, Florida State, got a lot of money. So you can probably figure it out who it is. I'm not going to say the name at this point. I'll let somebody else report that. There's somebody who's saying, "Doggone it, We can do it. Let's go for it. Let's put the couple $100 million aside. We'll negotiate our way out of this. We got it. Doesn't help us to wait. It doesn't help us to wait. It doesn't help us to wait. That is the chant that is going on in some quarters of Florida State. And the athletic director is in agreement, by the way. But the president is not quite there yet. We dropped that earlier in this live show. We're going to continue to follow it, so please stick with us. And again, we're going to open up a new play in the Holy Smokes Theater. We're going to set everything up, Act 1, so stick with us at Peek Around the Corner. Steve, Mr. Bearcat, you've been on this story from day one. You said the Pac-12 was in trouble. You know how to negotiate a deal. You've had years of this. You've been calling this. What do you got to say today, Steve? Colorado is officially going to the Big 12 in 2024.
I'm a little bit amazed at how fast the last 2 days went for Colorado.
Sure.
For the Pac.
Sure.
As I said before, I've negotiated with people in academics, and they don't move exactly at Mach speed because of what they have to go through to get something passed or whatever. I'm not really surprised that it was unanimous. I just kind of thought, that they wanted to be unanimous. Maybe they had to sway some people just for PR. They wanted it to be unanimous. I agree with what everybody's saying regarding Arizona's on the clock. The people from Colorado, the chancellor and the AD, said what basically is pretty evident, that, hey, we got to do what's best for our athletes. We got to get our maximum exposure, and 31.5 approximately is better than anything we've seen in the last year. So, I'm wondering, and I want you, I definitely want your opinion on it, Greg. I'm wondering, and let me preface this by saying, let's put Washington and Oregon aside from now. Let's look at the other schools involved. I'm wondering what their approach is right now, Greg. What do you think?
Well, they're calling the Big 12. They're having a meeting today, Pac-12, but they're going to see if they can. Look, we got a great question from Nathan. Greg, how much more due diligence does Arizona need to do? Are we days away from the decision, or weeks, or months? I think Arizona has some work to do. They were not where Colorado was, so I think it's going to take some days. Remember, internally, Arizona has to push this over the goal line, right? Internally, Robbins has to sell this. The other schools, like some of them are they don't have any options. Okay, right. Washington State. I don't even think Stanford has an option. I don't think California has an option.
No.
And I question if Oregon State has an option. So you're already down to the three of the four corner schools, right? Utah, Arizona State, and then you're back to Oregon and Washington.
Yeah.
I think and I know you don't want to talk about Oregon and Washington, but they're
I not that I don't want to talk about them. I just the way things are progressing is how I should have probably stated it, Greg. I think maybe I misinterpreted what I said.
George Kliakoff, I know you're going to laugh or you're going to tell me I'm crazy, one or the other. But George Kliakoff, he's got to get something in front of these presidents now, because now with Colorado moving, these presidents internally at their board meetings, their donors, now they're getting asked, Where is the bleeping numbers? What
Yep.
is going on? So they've got to get
Yep.
something right now.
Well, you've kind of answered the next question I had because you used the word regarding Arizona and some of the other schools internally, and then you said, we got to answer to our donors. I would like a feel. I'd like to know how much pressure they're getting from the external side, the donors, and so forth. Because that's going to have a huge bearing. Not huge. That's going to have a bearing on the decision they make. Is it or is it not?
Yes. If they follow the same script that Colorado went through, they're going to be meeting with their donors tonight, tomorrow morning, on Zoom,
Sure.
in person. Colorado did it in person. They brought their minnows. They brought their minnows to Boulder, Colorado, May 24th. They brought their whales to Newport, California, May 31st. They did it in person. They wanted to make sure that they had the buy-in from the donors. And when the donors said, yep, we don't want a double dip, we don't want this incredibly low, very bad visibility Pac-12 content, that is why, Steve, in the middle of June, this thing could have popped. It should have popped, but it didn't pop because there were some voices that said, let's wait a little bit longer inside the Board of Regents meetings. This thing could have been done a month ago, but it's getting done right now.
Well, I just appreciate, and I have disagreed with you a few times respectively, but I just appreciate your opinion. You make me look at things sometimes a little differently than what I look at, and I appreciate it. And last but not least, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
And to tell you how old I am, I got you doubled in years, buddy.
Okay.
So anyhow, happy anniversary.
Got it.
Looking forward to how this all plays out. Thanks.
Oh yeah, we got a lot more to go, Steve. So please call again, okay?
I will.
Appreciate it, Mr. Bearcat. All right. Okay, we got a lot of action going on in the chat room. Rebecca Salisbury, Miss Husky says, local Seattle reporter just posted a quote from Brett McMurphy when he was on the show 518. Watch the coming weeks. Absolutely. Oregon, and Washington, they're going to swing for it. I'm sorry. I don't see... This call is not working. Who's ever calling in,
Call from
Immaculate.
Ooh, Immaculate. I almost lost your call. Are you still there? Okay. So this is what happened. When the previous caller doesn't hang up, Immaculate, call again. Call
from
Immaculate.
Immaculate, can you hold a second?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, I apologize on that first call.
That's fine.
Okay. Bobby Madden. Brett McMurphy. Big 12 will add between 1 and 3 schools to join Colorado in 2024. Sources told Action Network League will first seek others from the Pac-12 to join. That's all sounds reasonable, logical. They're going to the Pac-12 first, and schools like UConn has to watch how the dominoes fall. All right, Immaculate Man, what is going on? What are your thoughts? What's the next thing to happen? How long will Arizona take to make a decision? You take this however you want to take it.
Well, first off, just bringing up the post that you have up there. Interestingly enough, I'm looking at it, and whenever I click on it, it's saying it's been deleted.
What was that?
That the tweet that the gentleman in your
that you're spotlighting there is saying that tweet is deleted. So
Brett McMurphy's?
Yeah.
Because
I was looking at it, and so I went to go click on it, and now it's gone.
Okay, so now let me read the next thing that Bobby Madden had on there. Brett McMurphy, if none do so, if no other Pac-12 school joins the Big 12, the Big 12 would add from the group of 5, UConn, Memphis, San Diego State, or UNLV to reach even number of teams in 2024. That is not on there as well?
Oh, he actually reposted it. I think he maybe had something on there he changed, but he reposted another one.
Okay. All right. So Brett McMurphy. Again, from our point of view, UConn is probably way ahead of Memphis, San Diego State, or UNLV. Again, UConn, man, if the dominoes have to fall accordingly in front of them for them to get a seat, wow. High stakes, Immaculate. High stakes.
I'm going to have to say the same thing that I've said about some of this group of 5 talk previously, is that it's a threat. And maybe he would follow up with it if no one else comes, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. I don't think he's going to have a problem filling up those 3 spots.
For Pac-12?
For the Big 12, pulling from the Pac, yeah.
Yeah, I would, because of where the Pac-12 negotiations are, the meeting negotiations, I agree with you, Immaculate.
Yeah, if they thought that they had some time to kind of figure it out, this is probably to say, well, you don't. And that makes sense to do. But there was plenty of smoke coming out about Arizona having talks, Oregon State having talks. That's 2 of 3. If you're Arizona State or Utah, you got to sit there wondering, maybe we need to make a decision sooner rather than later. And for some of those schools who may have some internal divisions on what to do, I think Colorado making this call and everything that's going on now probably has a lot of people maybe changing their minds. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, now that it's reality, there's a psychological thing to it. It's easier for Arizona now. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy for Arizona or Arizona State because they didn't want to move away from the Pac-12. But man, with Colorado being the tip of the spear, suddenly it gets easier for Robbins to make the argument internally at Arizona. And if they should leave, then it becomes a whole lot easier for Michael Crow at Arizona State.
Yeah, and I think that they're at the tipping point now, and if one more goes, it's tipped.
Yeah.
You could look at this and say, I don't think San Diego State's the equivalent of Colorado, not at all. But I don't know what they've got going on at the Pac. Could you just replace Colorado with San Diego State and maybe they'll come up with a deal? I don't think so, but maybe they're thinking that it's possible. But if one more goes, I think that there's a rush for the door.
Yeah. Especially, if one more goes, it's a school that has never been in the Big 12 before. Colorado's going back home. But if Arizona leaves, boy, is that a psychological, woo! So
it makes me wonder about these rumors about Oregon State, because it wasn't really a school that I had pondered a lot in this first round of 2. I thought maybe later they would, for various reasons.
We haven't heard, like I said last night, we haven't heard any steam on Oregon State. But we did see all the buzz on Twitter and message boards and everything. We just haven't heard anything. So, we haven't been able to go there as a possibility at Peek Around the Corner.
I tell you what, if I was any type of leadership at Oregon State or Washington State, I'm calling. I'm making that call.
Yeah.
The risk to them is just too great.
Yes. Yeah.
If they get left behind, I don't think that they're going to get stuck in the Mountain West someday, but can't say it's not a possibility.
Yeah, it could become a possibility.
This Colorado move yesterday just changes everything. I mean, it's all theory. We've been talking about this for so long, it probably wasn't as big a deal to us, but I think for the rest of everyone else, this was a shock.
Yeah, this was a shock to a lot of people. Not in the PATC community, but a lot of people, it was a shock.
Just kind of looking at it, Twitter and everyone, the rhetoric all changed.
Yeah, I did.
And you did a good job of pointing that out. Like before we actually heard about this, I was pointing out how the rhetoric was changing before this. Like word was getting out before we even got word.
Yeah.
So just imagine, like in the real halls of power there, how that was changing.
Yeah. It was a little bit different than the USC story because, on Twitter there was nothing going. No one's talking about it but me. And when it hit, it was like a thunderclap. So. Yeah.
That's all. I just kind of point out how it's been pretty wild how it has flipped the rhetoric upside down, and I'm expecting, now that we have this official, that now we're going to start to see all media start to reach out to these other schools and start to get some word. Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting next couple of days. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and when I post an Arizona Board of Regents meeting on Twitter, I'm just going to get hammered.
Yeah. You know what? I think you're going to get hammered less, though. I think people at this point are a little more.
Maybe a little less. It's fun. Thank you, Immaculate.
Today she gets it. So we'll see how it goes, man. Always fun talking to you, but I'm going to let you go.
Got it.
But have yourself a good one.
Appreciate it. Our web, thank you for your super chat, your generosity once again. Only 3 chairs left. Our web. And Tony. Tough Tony brings in some devastating news for the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Call from
Ryan.
Ryan, can you just hold 1 second?
Absolutely.
I have to read this super chat because Tony put in a super chat to make the host of this show depressed. It's a football show, but because I'm a Golden Gopher, I have to talk about this. Logan Cooley, the great Minnesota Golden Gopher hockey player, signs with the Coyotes. Big loss for the Minnesota Golden Gophers men's hockey team. He was, a couple months ago, he committed. He was going to play again another year for the Golden Gophers. The Gophers lost in the NCAA championship game, broke the Golden Gopher hearts once again, but we were getting Logan Cooley back for another year, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, he signs with the NHL club that drafted him, and the Minnesota Golden Gopher hearts are broken once again. The floor is yours. Go ahead. What do you got to say, sir?
Hey, so second time calling. Whenever I talk to my wife about the different YouTube channels I listen to, I always refer to you as the one that has the great community. And so, again, congratulating you on that, and I know you'll put it all in the community, but you are a huge part of it.
Thank you, sir.
Every show remind us to take care of each other, and I respect that entirely. So one thing that I was just thinking about when we start seeing all the dominoes that are going to affect now the G5 of when things start moving, when the Mountain West Conference told San Diego State, no, you're not just automatically in. Like, my jaw dropped. I was like, what in the world? Are they legit going to, kick them out? Like, my mind was blown. But they're like, no, we'll review it in 16 days. And so I was like, okay, as those 16 days went by, I started thinking, this was a really strategic move by the Mountain West Conference. Because effectively, if this move happens, Colorado leaves, no doubt the Pac-12 wants to add San Diego State. If they could do it tomorrow, they'd do it. I would not be shocked if the San Diego State's like, oh, whoa, wait a second. We didn't mean to reaffirm our membership. We gave you notice before June 3rd. We're taking the 16 million exit. Like, they've already played that card once. By the Mountain West Conference saying, hey, no, we'll review this in 16 days. San Diego State had 16 days to clear up any possible misunderstanding about their reaffirming to the conference. They can't play that card. And a lot of people are like, hey, everybody negotiates it down. But there is a big difference between the situation the American Conference was negotiating down the exits for Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, and the position the Mountain West is in. And that's that their TV partners can come back and renegotiate the deal, and they can lower that cost. And the Mountain West Conference is going to take every last penny of, I believe it's the $34 million that they're going to get out of San Diego State. If San Diego State wants to leave, you are going to pay every penny of that because they're going to need that money because they potentially can lose money if their TV partners, which I believe Fox and CBS, come back and say, hey, you lost San Diego, we need to renegotiate, and a really bad time to renegotiate. So,
okay, let me flip the script on you.
Yeah.
Let's say the Pac-12 implodes. Let's say 3 more Four Corner schools go to the Big 12. Let's say Washington and Oregon go in as a discount to the Big 10. So you're left with California, Stanford, Washington State, and Oregon State. Those 4 schools versus the Mountain West. Now what happens? Does the Mountain West incorporate those 4 schools, or do those 4 schools start picking off the Mountain West schools? Do the media partners, just one more thing, do the media partners, who is out there that could put the money up for Stanford, California, Washington State, and Oregon State to be able to have the ability to poach schools from the Mountain West, because the Mountain West schools aren't going to know what type of deal those 4 schools are going to get along with some Mountain West schools. Does the Mountain West Conference now have the leverage to take those 4 Pac-12 schools, bump up their media money? What is it, $4 million a year? 5?
Something like that.
Something like that. Maybe they can bump it up. Maybe they can double it to $10 million, and suddenly the Mountain West Conference becomes what? The 5th most powerful conference in the country, behind the 4 autonomy conferences. What do you think about that scenario?
I think that's more likely. Like, I think that unfortunately the Pac-12's put them in a position where you just lost members when now every one of the Mountain West schools has to pay a hefty fine to try to get out. So adding Mountain West schools, that might not be an option. Like, your option is, can the Pac-12 pay the freight? Well, okay, what all are we going to take out of that TV deal? Comcast, lawsuits, and paying exit fees. So no, I agree. I think that once we get to, if we get to this point, and I think the dominoes have toppled. Like, I think Pac-12 survival is I'd be scared. Like, if I were a Pac-12 school. And the one thing that I was also going to say, if anyone that is not one of those 4 corner schools, one of the people we're not thinking like gets in, if one of those schools gets in, I'm going to be very uncomfortable as the remaining 4 corner schools. So if we're talking Oregon State gets in, if we're talking UConn, if we're talking jaw drop Washington, Oregon, if anything like that happens, one of the 4 corner schools is getting left out. And my feelings, what I've gotten from it, is yes, Arizona State's been resistant to it, but I believe they've built the bridge to the Big 12. They had no intention of taking it, didn't want to take it, but I think they've built that bridge. Even if it's been done vicariously through Arizona, Arizona's obviously put in the work. Arizona State probably has put in the work. When Utah says they haven't made any move, I believe them. Like, that is the feeling that I have gotten, the vibe I've gotten from up on the Hill, is they don't want this. They've never wanted this, so they've done none of the work. So if somebody jumps in, like, I would be very concerned, and I don't want to see Utah left out. Like, this sickens me. But if I'm any of the Four Corners schools, get to the Big 12 immediately, because if anything weird happens, that's scary. Because you never want to see a situation, not even remotely, that Utah finds themselves ending up somehow back in the Mountain West. That would be an absolute disaster. That program deserves better. I'm not a fan of them, but I have a lot of family and friends that are, and that is not okay. And so I know you guys hate the idea, but do not put yourself in a position where you get back to the Mountain West. That would be unthinkable. And like I said, and you said it the other day, and I 100% agree with it. The only reason the Big 12 adds 17 or 18 teams is if number 17 and number 18 are Oregon and Washington. Yeah. They're not going up to 17 or 18 for anybody else. So don't let anything get weird. Yeah. Get to the conference while you still have a chance. Anyways, that's everything for me.
Beautiful. Great call. Call again. Appreciate it. Good sir. Great call. Moon Cat, Super Chat. Thank you so much, Moon. I appreciate your generosity to the show as a West Virginia Mountaineer fan. It's nice to be on the other side of things with stability for a change. Pac-12 finally received their comeuppance for their arrogance. Thank you so much, Mooncat. I know a lot of people agree with you, have the same sentiment, have the same emotions through all of that. Mooncat, I appreciate your generosity to the show. Thanks for coming in to the studio, coming into the chat, coming into the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. There was some, I lost it. But again, right now, I guess George Klikoff has a phone call, a meeting with the other Pac-12 presidents, not including Colorado. So we'll see how that goes. There's going to be breaking stuff this evening. If there is, I'll be doing some episodes, maybe possibly late into the night. There's a chance that we're going to be popping up live late into the night. If not, we're going to do it tomorrow. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Please share the video with your family and friends. Please smash that like button if you like our content. Thank you so much for your wonderful comments, your wonderful phone calls. PATC community, you brought it once again. You are not afraid to be a legend here in PATC, Peek Around the Corner. Thank you so very much. We're going to be calling it a night right now. I got to take the wife out, celebrating our 21-year wedding anniversary. We got married July 27th, 2022. So, the little general, I'm not sure what we're going to get for food, but it's going to be whatever she wants. So, we're going to be doing that. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Epic day. If you missed our episodes early this morning, check them out. We had 3 different episodes on what is going on in the historic day at college football. Colorado Board of Regents, they voted. All the votes went one way. Colorado will be a Big 12 member in 2024. Thank you so very much. Holy smokes. Opie, wow. A wonderful super chat. Told I would give 100 when UC makes the announcement and signs the papers. Congrats, Big G. Now looking forward to the coming acts of the ACC. Seems some kind of news is coming around August 15th. or sometime after that date. So interesting times we have. Buy a drink. Thank you, Opie, for your incredible generosity early in the show. I don't know if you missed it, Opie, but we talked a little bit Florida State. There's somebody in the Board of Regents that's really pushing the envelope. Someone that has a lot of power, somebody that has a lot of money, really wants to be aggressive. It's coming from the board and the athletic director, but there's power in the board. There's somebody there. There's a faction, but there's somebody leading. We can't give the name. We're going to let somebody else report it. And if they don't, then we'll eventually report it. But there is somebody that wants to pull the trigger on challenging the grant of rights to get a negotiation with the ACC. The athletic director is aligned, but not everybody, as of right now, is aligned with doing that. Right now, the president is not quite where somebody at the board is. But yeah. And that's why you're getting this percolation. That's why it's percolating above. There are people talking. And I get why the Florida State 247 put out what they had out today, yesterday. I understand it. We have Peek Around the Corner. We're putting the brakes on it a little bit. But Opie, you know me and I know you. We're going to be talking about this soon. We're not going to stand down like we did on December 26, 2022. No, we're not. Not at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to be setting up its own stage. It's going to have its own vibe to it. Holy Smokes Theater, ACC Country. Opie, buckle up, brace for impact, stay close, stay tight. The PATC, again, thank you for your incredible generosity to this channel once again. Thank you so much, Opie. And for all of you, well, we'll get to it again later tonight if we have to. But right now, I got to take the little general out. Wedding anniversary number 21. Thank you for all of your kind comments and your support on our YouTube channel and Twitter. It is very much appreciated. So until next time, and the next time is right around the corner at Peek Around the Corner. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other.